Formula One, the car racing series, 20 drivers fly around the track at speeds in excess of 300 kilometers per hour. Now, all of the cars are different, and slight aerodynamic improvements, or a few extra horsepower, can shave seconds off of lap times. To the untrained eye, Formula One seems to be a combination of just two factors: car performance and driver skill. It's really not, though. There are countless other factors, one of the most important being tire management. In everyday road cars, the tires are an afterthought. You change them every winter and summer, and check the pressure every now and then. The difference is that you don't drive at 300 kilometers per hour for 2 hours at a time regularly. The reason why tire management is so important is because the tires have a very specific operating window. A certain balance, which is different for every car, is required to maintain the health and longevity of them, just like you and I. If the tires are too cold, lack of grip detracts from performance and could lead to a crash. If the tires are too hot, damage to them can occur, lowering speeds and again, leading to a crash if the tire fails. To avoid this, a perfect balance must be struck. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. While the physics of tires may not apply directly to our lives, this analogy certainly does. We must find a balance in our aspects of life in order to thrive in all of them. Place too much emphasis on one facet, and you run the risk of forgoing success in the others. When I say balance, I mean the idea that we can live our lives in a way where we can be happy, healthy, and successful all at the same time. This involves both a lot of work and sometimes sacrifice. Working hard for the people and hobbies that keep us happy, working hard to keep our bodies and mind healthy, and working hard to flourish in our everyday tasks. It also means sometimes sacrificing favorable activities in the short term to instead work towards our long-term goals. It is not something that happens overnight, and the balance between the different parts in our lives constantly changes as the goals we seek in life shift and the conditions of our environment change. Your perfect balance today may not be the same as it is next week, or even in a year. It also doesn't mean that all aspects of our life are weighted equally and given the same amount of time and effort. It means that we delegate our time and effort in a way that satisfies us personally. No matter what, by maintaining this equilibrium, we can be better suited to make the best out of ourselves. Finding this balance has been important to my life. I moved here to Canada right before 9th grade and was entirely new to the country and the school. Now, this isn't some story about how I moved and my whole life changed and I gained a worldly perspective. Instead, it was simple. I just missed my friends. The move here was actually very easy, and moving is not a unique experience for Appleby students. Many who have moved from afar have the added pressure of negotiating language and cultural barriers. The problem was that I was only supposed to be in Canada temporarily. In just 2 years, my family and I were supposed to move back. I'm still here though, so that plan obviously changed. This temporary move situation led me to two important realizations. First, I would have to remain close with my friends back home for when I returned. And second, I would have to say goodbye to my newfound friends here in just 2 years. Now, juggling two sets of friends 3,000 miles apart is tiring business. When I felt closest to my friends here, I felt furthest from my friends back home. And when I felt closest to my friends back home, I felt furthest from my friends here. Instead of having face-to-face interactions, which relationships survive on, friendships were reduced to a quick FaceTime here or an hour of Xbox there. And so, it was paramount to find the balance between the two. Squeeze all the opportunities out of my time here, but still be able to go home like I never left. This was a tall order. The most important step in finding this balance was to accept the reality of the situation. I wasn't getting out of it. I moved, it happened, and what was done was done. With this in mind, the only thing left to do was to try. And thankfully, it worked out. I have amazing friends here, and I'm also very close with my friends back home. As I found out, it is often during periods of change where we experience imbalance, whether it be moving to a new city or country, changing schools, or joining a new sports team. These events disrupt our routine, giving us the nudge that makes us lose our footing. Before I moved here, playing competitive baseball was a significant portion of my balance. I had practice every night and traveled to tournaments almost every weekend. When I moved here, I had to make a choice: continue to play baseball, which meant staying here for the summer season, or being able to go home every summer and visit my friends. I chose to be able to visit my friends. With baseball now not being a part of my life, I was thrown off balance. Finding that equivalence point again required me to fill that time with other activities. While I didn't replace baseball with one single activity, I instead spread out my increased time to multiple other activities, allowing me to find my balance again without having baseball as a part of my life. Even small events can have this destabilizing effect on us. A disagreement with a friend, a bad mark, or an embarrassing moment. While they may not have a lasting effect, they can certainly throw us off our balance for a moment, surprising us and keeping us on our toes. When change happens and disrupts your balance, there are two ways to act. As the saying goes, it's not about how you get knocked down, it's about how you get up. That holds true here as well. It isn't about what life throws at us, it's about how we react and how we strike that balance again. Instability isn't necessarily a bad thing either. It may make life a little bit tougher for the time being and cause some discomfort. But at the end of the day, it is a learning experience, causing us to be more prepared for our future trials and tribulations. As I've previously mentioned, the balance between different aspects of life is different for everyone. But there are general steps you can take to help yourself along the way. Taking a break here and there, being positive, and knowing our personal priorities are a great way to start. By taking breaks, we allow us time to think and refocus on what is important for us to succeed and enjoy the process in doing so. By being positive, we remember why it is so important to remain balanced in the first place. And by knowing our personal priorities, we can manage our time effectively and invest our effort into activities that fulfill us. There are only 24 hours in the day, and by knowing what we want to accomplish, we can get the most out of it. Remember, the goal of balancing all of our parts of life is to remain happy, healthy, and successful at the same time. By taking breaks, thinking positively, and knowing our personal priorities, we can be better suited to be these three things. At Appleby, this balance can be ever so important. We juggle academics, co-curriculars, and our social lives. Finishing up that essay and studying for that upcoming math test, making sure your debits and credits balance in accounting class, which I might say is one of the harder things to be balanced in, doing a sport, service, or art, and maintaining relationships with friends and family all at the same time. Just saying it makes it sound like a lot, and it is. Yet we all do it every day. We have all found that balance already. And again, that balance constantly changes. From day to day, term to term, and from year to year, our priorities and our activities change. As this shift occurs, it is important for us to remain stable. Right now, we are the drivers in our own race, maintaining our own balance so we can succeed. While there may not be a definite finish line, there are checkpoints along the way waiting for you to pass them. Every event that affects you, causing you to have to rebalance, you come out stronger. So the next time something happens, you'll know how to react and find a way to keep your goals in sight. For all of you here, there are events coming up that may shift your goals and affect your balance. For senior ones, that may be moving into boarding next year or being pressured by the workload this year. For senior twos, this is our last year here. Next year, we will move on to university, and with that, one chapter in our lives closes and another opens. We will have new experiences, new routines, and new difficulties we cannot even anticipate. It will be one of the largest changes in our lives so far, and finding a new balance will be hard, yet rewarding. Remember, finding your personal balance is not a goal in itself. It is an ongoing process that can help us reach our goals and keep us happy, healthy, and successful at the same time. For most of the time, as there will be times, we will be unstable. Life's ups and downs, turns and twists might make it impossible to find this balance. And that's okay too. Uncertainty and change will forever be a part of our lives. By knowing how to regain our footing and striking that balance again, it will help us in conquering these difficulties. I can't tell you how to find a balance in your life, or find it for you. It is in your hands. As the author of the Dune novels, Frank Herbert, wrote, "There's no secret to balance. You just have to feel the waves." And with that, will you please rise and join me in singing hymn 465.